Hi, my name is David Avrin. I'm coming to you from Denver, Colorado in the United States. I'm the author of the book, Why Customers Leave and How to Win Them Back. And I'm excited to be joining you today because I want to talk to you about your changing customers. Not just what's happened during COVID-19, but what's been happening for the last 10 years and how it has profoundly affected the industry, but it's going to affect it even more moving forward. So listen, we understand what this has meant for the industry. I think there's reason to be optimistic because we've been through a very, very difficult time as an industry. We're very clear of what this has meant for retailers, for shopping center operators and owners, those who fund the operations, and others as well. And so while we have spent the last several months working on social distancing and compliance and sanitization and shifting that language from cleaning to sanitizing, it's time to open up again. It's time to change our language to not just what we're doing to be safe, but what we're doing to be great, and what we do and what we can provide that is superior to what others have learned they can do in an online environment. I want to talk about creating a hybrid model, about how do we bring back our customers and those who miss what we do, but they've also learned during this time that they can do business differently. B2B, B2C, we have profound learning that's come out of COVID-19. The first thing we've learned is that we have choices. We have a multitude of choices. We've known for some time the shift to virtual, the shift to online, and it's Amazon and Alibaba and others as well, and what that has meant to the retail industry. And much of our conversation has been about how do we reuse and reutilize vacant space and others. I want to talk about how do we bring people back? How do we recognize the best of what they've learned during this time? Because we've learned a lot as consumers. We've learned that it's difficult, that we miss connecting with others, but we've also learned that we can do some pretty phenomenal things. First and foremost, we've learned that we can work at home. It works. How many organizations are reconfiguring their staffing levels and who's in the office and who can stay at home? In many cases, we had to do it, but if necessity is the mother of invention, then what we've learned is that we can. I'm telling you, history will record this time as a time of remarkable innovation because we've had to be creative and innovative in terms of how we work, right? And our kids were, learning at home. It works. It's not always preferable. Sometimes it's a short-term accommodation, but in other cases, it is preferable. Before this pandemic, I probably did 1 out of every 5 calls virtually, Zoom or Skype or others. Today, it's 19 out of 20 because this works. Being able to make this connection, even when I was speaking on very big stages in 24 countries around the world, most people are watching me on the screen anyway. Look at the opportunities for making this connection. What we've learned is that we can, and in some cases, it's preferable. And of course, what we've also learned that we have been shifting for some time is that buying virtually. And it has been a real challenge for those in brick and mortar retail, but we can, right? There's things that we can get it. We can get it delivered overnight in many cases. And there's no shortage. There's a plethora of choices for retailers and sizes and everything else, but we do know we're missing something. We're missing that touch and the smell and the taste of the food and being able to try things on. So how do we bring them back when in many cases this has accelerated what has long been predicted about how we're going to do business in the future? It's happening. It's not happening in years from now. It's happening now. And so as we begin to reopen, as we communicate our compliance in terms of social distancing and sanitization, everything else, as we begin to shift that language to what makes us great and preferable, it's important that we highlight that. Because here's what we've learned. We've learned that we can have what we want delivered, not just from the major retailers in multiple days, but from local retailers and restaurants and others as well. So as we find ourselves in a shopping center, in a brick and mortar, a traditional destination location, we're going to have to look at how do we incorporate and adopt many of those policies and procedures that others have during the pandemic, that we become multimodal in terms of our operations. So the innovation just isn't on the part of the shopping mall and the shopping center operators, but innovation in terms of the retailers themselves. How do we think differently about how our customers want to engage with us and buy from us? We have to become extraordinarily accommodating, because here's the challenge. We've created this customer path, right? There's so many things that are unpredictable in the marketplace. So we try to control what we can. If we can create a customer path, here's where they learn about us and research, and they come on site, and here's how we lay out our store or operation or a restaurant. Here's where they queue, here's where they buy or customize or get their drink and sit down. It all works. And when we can have a greater level of predictability of their behavior, we can budget for that. We can plan for that. Here's the problem, my friends. Your customers have never read your employee manual. They just know how they want to buy. They just know how they want to shop. So we have to become extraordinarily accommodating and flexible. There is a traditional model that we've had within a retail environment. That has to change. It has to be that and more. We have to look at adopting everything or most things that the virtual environment has and can provide. We have to do everything that they can do, but we can do so many things that they cannot, and they never will be able to. They can't create connection and community. If you're wondering whether or not this is short-term, whether you're biding your time, waiting for things to get back to normal, all you have to do is look at major corporations and the investment they're making in infrastructure and the prediction and the commitment they're making, 20, 30-year commitments to new physical footprints. New Kentucky Fried Chicken, new KFC, half the size of the traditional restaurant, but 3 times as many bays to accommodate app ordering on your mobile phone, to accommodate curbside pickup, delivery, online ordering, and otherwise as well. They're making a long-term bet that this is the way things are going to be. This is the new normal. This is the new next, or the next normal, or the touchless tomorrow, and so many different terminology to say we've learned that some of these things really work, and we've gotten used to convenience and delivery and that level of accommodation as well. So within the shopping center environment, we have to have those conversations with our team about how do we do things differently. It's the essence of disruption. Disruption is a different way of thinking that says, if we were going to start over, how would we do it differently? There are people who are looking at every industry and asking some very profound questions. Is that the way it should be done? It's the way we do it. It's the way we've always done it, maybe the way our industry works. But is it the way that things are going to be done a year from now or 2 years from now? Not 10 years from now, but next year, because we're learning things from a lot of other industries about how to do things better and faster and smarter and more engaging. How many of your business models are optimized for speed of delivery? Disruption says, sit down and put pen to paper and ask the question, if we were going to start over today, we aren't bound by any legacy thought processes or physical structures or debt or even people or technology. How would we do it differently today? If we were going to create a shopping environment that would incorporate all the best of what people want and come to expect, and what even is coming tomorrow, what would that look like? Because there are others who are having those conversations right now. But I think as an industry, we need to have that hard conversation that says, how would we redefine it so that it's not happening to us? Because when it happens to us, we are disrupted and we're scrambling to catch up, and not every industry survives. But when we have those conversations ourselves, we just call that innovation. It's the same thing. Disruption happens to you. Innovation is driven by us. And that's why I've never been more optimistic, because this is a phenomenal opportunity to do some very creative things, to expand our service offerings as retailers. Now, of course, there's a lot of these conversations have been happening for years. We understand the trend towards online and how do we bring people on site, and a lot of conversations about how do we reuse and reconfigure vacant space. But I think we need more conversation on the part of how are we engaging with our customers? What have they come to expect during this pandemic? And what is it going to take for us to incorporate those and adopt some of those things? Because of course, how we physically connect is going to change. But as I said, there's things that we can do that online cannot. We can do all the things they do. We can ship and we can deliver, we can do curbside pickup, but we can also create engagement and connection and collaboration and community that others cannot. And I think the thing that we've realized that we're missing during this pandemic is the chance to connect with others. What a wonderful environment to do that. And of course, socially distant, and of course, with an eye towards sanitization. That won't always be an issue, but it will be for the short term. But I think people are eager to get out and connect and collaborate. We just have to look at the world through their eyes. What has changed in their world? Not just understanding them from the perspective of their demographics and their psychographics and their buying behaviors, but what's truly changed in terms of their pressures and their priorities and the challenges with their families and others as well. And how do we communicate to them our expanded offerings? We have to understand a day in the life of our customers. What are the pressures? What are the challenges that they have? And when we do so, we get a better sense as we step back and look at all the choices that they have. They've become much more cognizant, much more clear in terms of the online and what they can do. But as I said before, even the local retailers, that they can have them delivering this whole new generation of service providers from Uber Eats and DoorDash and others as well, that we can take advantage. Those things that might have been difficult for us to deliver in the past, we can use those third parties to be able to do that as well. So I think, once again, it's an exciting time. We grew up in life understanding the golden rule. We heard it from our mothers and fathers. We heard it at work. It's very simple. Just do unto others as they would have done unto you. In other words, treat people like you want to be treated. Here's the problem. In most cases, your customers are not you. They are themselves. We are on a different side of the equation. If you're B2B or B2C, even if you're your shopping center operators or funders or others, your constituents, your customers, your clients have a different life than you do. It's not simple, it's complicated. And that's why we have to put thought behind it. It's not the golden rule, it's the platinum rule. And the platinum rule says, do unto others as they would have done unto themselves. In other words, don't treat them like you want to be treated. Treat them like they want to be treated. And to do that, we have to understand them on a much deeper level. And that deeper level is understanding what's different in their life. What have they come to appreciate? What have they come to love? And of course, it's things like curbside pickup. We can do that as shopping centers. And even, what does the future look like? The future looks like drone delivery or others, and that doesn't have to just be the online retailers. We can do those things as well. I think we need to redefine the industry, and I think that's exciting, as there has been this level of discomfort and concern and worry as we've seen this shift towards online, which we all do as well, but there are things that shopping centers can provide that no one else can. And so I think some of those things, we look at adopting some of those things that we've become accustomed to and grown to really appreciate, and redefine that destination shopping experience as much more of a hybrid than it was before, even for those traditional retailers. Because here's the point, the future is calling, and the future is now. If you wake up 1 year from now, the same company that you are today, you will have squandered an opportunity to get better, to become more aligned with how your customers want to buy, not just how we want to deliver our goods and services. It's much more of a connection. We know that power has shifted to our customers. I think the shopping center of the future is exciting. I think it's exciting when we look at all of the things that we offer, not just in terms of a tenant mix, but in terms of a service mix from the tenants that we already have. Hey, listen, I would love if you check out my new book called Why Customers Leave and How to Win Them Back. It's in 5 languages all around the world. Connect with me on social media. You can see I model the things that I talk about. I would love to begin a conversation with you. Connect with me, especially on LinkedIn, and I promise I respond to everybody who reaches out to me. What a phenomenal opportunity. It's a great conference, and I love the theme of this. It is about being resilient, because not everybody is, and I think there's so many reasons to be optimistic about the future, because it's time to open up. And I'm excited to be a part of all of it. Have a great conference. Thanks for including me as part of it. My name is David Avrin. Look me up, and I hope to talk to you again soon.